Gambling's been a part of our culture for a really long time. And then just recently, within the past 10 years, we've had really big expansions within our state of Ohio. And so it's already something we're interested in and we want to participate in. We see ads that show that this is exciting and this is a thrill and that we're able to just spend a little bit of money and maybe be able to win thousands of dollars. So when we look at those things, we're like, well, yeah, I want to do that. And then if we think about sports betting and people who are watching sports, already enjoy sports, then comes that thought, well, if I can just bet a couple of bucks and make this game even more exciting, why not? So one thing that's important to be aware of is that gambling is a risky activity, right? And that some people can develop problems with gambling. Majority of people can gamble responsibly, but there's a few people that are not able to and can develop a problem with it. And when we look specifically at sports betting, 1 out of 4 people are at risk for developing a problem with gambling that bet on sports. So it is one of the more riskier forms of gambling. It can affect all areas of our life, right? We look at this as an addiction, right? And so an addiction impacts our areas of functioning. So if somebody does have a gambling disorder, that's going to impact their relationships, financial well-being. There's so many areas of our life that are impacted by gambling disorder. And it can have a really negative impact on our mental health, right? Lead to anxiety, stress, depression, right? And what we know about gambling disorder is it is the addiction with the highest suicide rate of any addiction. With 20% of people with a gambling disorder will attempt suicide, and then 39% of those folks will think about suicide. So it's something that we're always looking at and making sure we screen for and address in treatment. When we think about it, addiction affects our family, right? It is a family disease. It ends up impacting the entire family system, and that could lead to divorce. That can lead to loss of relationships, not just with family members, but friends. We could lose our housing, right? There's so many ways that it can come and impact our relationships, as well as lack of trust. That is one of the biggest pieces when somebody comes into recovery. They are working so hard to gain that trust back with their family members. That honesty was not there because part of the symptoms of the illness is the lying, the deceit, the hiding. And that takes a long time, to rebuild that trust again. Path of recovery is different for everybody, to be honest. And so what's so important as a treatment provider is we want to meet each individual client where they're at in that journey. So some of the examples of what that journey could look like is harm reduction, or it could look like abstinence from gambling. Also, we encourage individual counseling, group counseling and support group meetings. We also look at financial protections and safeguards, relapse prevention, right, changing the distortions that we have about gambling. So those are kinds of the things that you can see somebody do in recovery. Ideally, we would encourage somebody to seek help once they realize they're starting to cross those lines and those boundaries. But when we look at how can they seek help, there are several different things I wanted to tell you about. And that is, there's a website called beforeyoubet.org. At this website, you can find resources across the state. You can find tips on how to gamble responsibly, how to help loved ones. And there's also an anonymous quiz that a person can take to be able to gauge their level of risk in their gambling behavior. We also have local Gamblers Anonymous programs in our area. There's also an Ohio Help Hotline, and the number for that is 1-800-589-9966. And then you can also contact Meridian Healthcare. We do offer gambling treatment and prevention services in this area, and our contact number is 330-797-0070.